listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
This is Greg Chovas, and once again, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund is asking you to help the needy this holiday season. For the last 50 years, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund has helped less fortunate families have a happier holiday. Look for our collection boxes at the local branches of the Ulster Federal Credit Union, Rondout Savings Bank, the Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Ulster Savings Bank, and at the Kiwanis Ice Arena in Sorges. Thank you very much, and have a happy and Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, good morning, Greg.
Thank you, Lawrence, and good morning, listeners and viewers. You are tuned in to the Wednesday edition of the Kingston Community Radio Wednesday morning radio show. We're broadcasting live right here from our studios, 16 Lucas Avenue in Kingston, New York. And on this Thanksgiving Eve, we would love to hear from you. 331-9255 is our call-in number. Anything that's on your mind, any questions that you may have, we may not be able to answer it, but we'll get an answer certainly for you. So 331-9255. And I don't know about you, but I just can't believe it's Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
I know. It's flown by so fast.
And, 1 month from today, the 24th of December, it's Christmas Eve.
I know.
And, the period now between Thanksgiving and Christmas, Thanksgiving and New Year's, is like a blink.
It is.
It's like it goes just so quickly. Everybody is busy, and we just want to remind everybody that with the holiday travel, allow yourself some extra time. Just this morning on the news, they were talking about the metropolitan airports and how they've been overwhelmed. And, of course, staffing still is a big issue. With,
and you still got to wear a mask in the airport, and they're very adamant about that. So, yes, people, they plan on having at least 4 to 5 million people traveling domestically. That's what TSA is predicting. Thank you, Bill. Mayor Bill Murphy just walked into the studio. Fred Costello will be calling in virtually this morning.
Guess my clock's at 6:58. That was early.
You thought you were early, 6:58? Yeah, your clock is a little bit behind the times.
So what's my phone say? That clock's a minute fast. My phone says 7:01.
Does it? And my phone says 7:01. Okay, we agree on something here, huh?
Right,
well, see, we do that. So if we're not supposed to go past 9 o'clock. Okay, so if we run like to 2 or 3 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, we're still okay.
Last week, when I was stuffing envelopes or whenever I was doing my thing for Happy Christmas Fund, we ran to 9:05. And I think it was with, I want to say it was with Dan Gruner and now Don Williams, and Tony wasn't in that day. And they came in, they're like, hey, I got to go somewhere. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize it's 9:04. But no one from Pamela called, so we're good.
That's good. That's good.
So I hear Freddie's suffering repercussions from his booster shot, huh?
Yeah, I texted him back and I said, your body really loves vaccines.
He's such a wimp.
Yeah, my mom had no problem. You said you had your arm wasn't even sore, right?
No,
my mom said she had no soreness in her arm, nothing like that.
Yeah, I got mine at the old Best Buy.
Yeah, that's where I'm going, Best Buy. And you had the same way they wrapped around and went to Now, is Neil Smoller still giving shots at Best Buy? Or was that just for the beginning?
I did not see him there. I know he is giving shots.
Yeah, he was in the beginning.
Yeah. And I don't know who's administering the shots at the high school pod.
I thought it was Neil.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I was supposed to go. I forgot, so I got to get my booster. What was that, yesterday or the day before? Yesterday.
2 days ago.
Yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to go and I totally forgot.
And somebody had said to me, it was yesterday, because they found out about it. How are they advertising? How are they getting the word out?
I don't know, because I know Neil contacted me earlier in the month to set up the senior building for their booster shots, and I think it was 2 weeks ago. He came to 2 or 3 weeks ago. He came to the senior building, and they all got their booster shots. And then I heard he was going to be at the high school. So, I mean, if you call his pharmacy, you'll get the automatic email where he gives you instructions to make appointments for the boosters or where he's going to be. So I don't know how it's getting out there. It doesn't seem like it's as pressing as like when everybody got their initial shots.
Right.
We had all these different pods set up and everything like that. I think for the booster shot, it's being more put on the people to make the appointments and it seems like, I mean, listen, what Neil and other people did during getting initial shots out,
just phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, what he pulled off, and I realized he had good people. You were one of them. We had a good team in there. What we pulled off the high school, was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. I'm glad Bill McKenna and his wife came down because we had a plan in place, and then by the time Bill got done saying, "Now this is how we've done it here, do this, do that," that went completely out the window.
Yeah. There was no planning for that, but again, we figured it out better for the second time around.
Yeah,
without question, And I mean, it's sad that it took something of that nature just to show the good in so many people. I always think.
And it's very, very unfortunate. That always seems to be the case, that tragedy has to take place.
Mm-hmm.
We see it all the time.
Yep.
I mean, we see the people that in Wisconsin, just with this latest horrific act of violence.
That's unbelievable. I just heard on the radio just now on the way down, a sixth person died this morning.
Yeah, that was on the news
last night.
It was a child. Was it? Yeah, it was a 6 or 8 year old child.
I mean, it's on video. Why do we have to go through our court system for this guy?
And then I'm this morning, this individual in New York City, he has been arrested since he got out in February, I think 4 times, for assault. He stabbed someone on the subway.
Oh, that okay.
And then they let him out?
And bail reform.
You should bring that up when Kevin Cahill's here. He's one of the ones that voted against for the bail reform. All the state is, that's where they vote for that, senators and assemblymen, right?
The point of bail reform is it's not to benefit the serious criminals. It's
right. It was for the lesser crimes.
Right, the nonviolent offenses.
Right.
I mean, this guy in Wisconsin, the week before, was arrested on assault and all this other stuff and released on a $1,000 bond.
Yeah.
2 days before the incident. On Friday, he was released on a $1,000 bond for I think it was weapons charges and domestic violence.
Yeah, domestic violence. Yeah.
And I think also burglary. It was 3 or 4 charges, and he was released for $1,000. So why was he even out on the street? I get it for a lesser crime, but it seems like, I don't know. It's
It was the same way with this individual here. I mean, he was in prison, he got released, and obviously he wasn't reformed because he got arrested 4 previous times, got released, and ends up stabbing an individual on the subway.
This has nothing to do with bail reform. Just on the way in, I always listen to CNN. They had, I forgot where it took place, but this young man was accused and pled guilty to raping 4 teenage girls. He was a teenager at the time. The judge gave him probation.
Yeah,
probation.
There's something wrong. There's something drastically wrong.
The kid admitted to it.
Yeah, the criminal, and until something changes with the criminal justice system, and there's modification to bail reform, unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm. It's unfortunate. You just continually, certainly a week doesn't go by where you don't hear. And now it seems like almost every day you hear of an incident.
Well, I don't know if you get them, but I get all the chief's reports for all the arrest team the police department make. I get those reports in the email, and the chief now sends them, and he'll put on in the subject line, 3rd arrest for individual in the last month. And his point is, he's making a point that we just keep putting these couple of people back on the street, and they keep getting arrested, and they go right through and get out on no bail or minimal bail, and obviously in these cases, a lot of these are,
low offenders.
Yeah, but some are domestic. A decent amount of domestic violence. And I know the point he's making when he puts the little comments there. We had this one guy got arrested 4 times in 1 month in the village.
4 times in 1
month. Yeah. And you can't blame the judges. The judges are following the law. They're being told what they can and can't do. So, by this bail reform. And I'm not saying bail reform is 100% wrong.
No, it's not 100%.
I think it's got to be tweaked.
It does. It needs to be modified. And as you said, and I agree with you 100%, bail reform for lesser crimes, low-impact crimes. But when you have an individual that's also a repeat offender, that's doing it time and time again, how far do you go with that individual?
I know where I'd like to go with them, but yeah. And people call me and say stuff about it and complain. I'm like, I don't control the court system. Mayors and supervisors we don't have say over the court system. Right. The court systems that we make, the village court reports to me and the town reports to Freddie, but they're their own individually operating. We don't make the rules for them.
Right.
I can't tell the judge what to do.
No, and a judge is an elected official.
I found that out the hard way. Just one time I went to judge and I questioned him about something, and this is many years ago, and he's like, "You have no authority over my court." And I'm like, "Okay, I didn't know that. Now I do." Now I act nicer when I ask questions.
You say please,
and but I see it all. Because my office is right outside the courtroom. And usually, today's Wednesday, so today will be eviction day. And every Wednesday now, lately, they've been catching up on all the evictions because of the moratorium during COVID. He's hearing 6-7 eviction cases a day. And and listening, it's just amazing. In some of these cases, you can tell these people are just playing the system, not paying the rent. In other cases, there's some that you can tell they're really on hardship, and you can tell by the way the district attorney's office deals with that. But some of them are just like, they're getting over on people, and that's the problem with that issue, is that there was many people out there who needed that break on rent, who did lose their jobs and needed the help, but there's a crap load of people out there who continue to work and just took advantage of the rent system, saying, "I don't have to pay, I'm not paying."
And I believe if somebody had put me on the spot, I think that's the case of more than 50%.
Yeah,
and again, there is the ones that needed it,
Absolutely.
and there's ones that are still enduring hardship and financial difficulties.
I had one landlord come to me and said, "Billy, my tenant just bought a new BMW and hasn't paid me rent in 12 months."
Wonderful. It's almost like shoving it in someone's face.
Yeah. It's again, the intent of it was good, but as usual, no good deed goes unpunished. There's always people that just abuse and take advantage of things, and then the people who suffer, the people who really need it when it gets pulled.
Yes. Yes.
But that's the way it is. No, we're not going to change people.
No, unfortunately, we're not. We just have to in my opinion, tighten things up where people cannot abuse the system, take advantage of the system, or at least to the extent that some people have, and I imagine continue to do.
No doubt. Now, on brighter notes, we have some things coming from the village. Christmas in the Village on December 5th.
Mm-hmm. I
won't be here for that because I'll be in Myrtle golfing and celebrating my daughter's 21st birthday.
Nice.
It'll be the first year I missed Christmas in the Village, but I told Bob I'm flying out on the 5th because she turns 21 on the 7th, and so my brother-in-law and I are going down to get a couple rounds of golfing and take her out for her 21st birthday.
Nice.
And then, but on the 12th, we're doing our Toys for First Responders giveaway, right, at Cantine?
Yes, we are.
Drive-through.
And I know they unloaded them yesterday from the warehouse into vans or trucks that Bob supplied.
And I'm glad we're keeping those separate. I mean, last year, we didn't have Christmas in the Village, so it was great to put them together. But I think, because, when Bob does his, it's definitely a specific group of people he likes to, when we do the Toys for First Responders at the field's a little more open and we can hit more people. So I think keeping them separate and doing two different events is going to give us the opportunity to help more people.
I agree.
I agree. And that way, that was a blast last year. That day.
It was, and Mother Nature cooperated. It was a decent day, and hopefully that's the case this year. Not only for that event, but Bob's Christmas in the in the village,
or holiday in the village.
I'm sorry, I still say Christmas. People want to say holiday, they can say holiday.
No, I'm going to put a little thing out there because my Christmas holiday tree went up this week. The guys stayed late last night and decorated. So they like to put the lights on at night so they can see how they look.
Yeah.
Came out gorgeous. I actually have pictures right here. And my DPW, that's like their pet peeve. You want to talk about a bunch of guys who, that's one thing they look forward to every year. And the last couple of years, I've had people volunteer, like call me up and say, hey, Bill, can I help them? This year, they came to me and said, can you not let any volunteers come? Because we want to do it all ourselves. It's our, they take it personally. And I'm like, yeah, it's your tree. You guys do it. They go out and they find a tree. They decide how to, they come to me with ideas and decorations. We actually decorated around the tree this year with some figurines, snowmen and stuff like that. And they just take a lot of pride in it. They really, for a bunch of gruff DPW guys, that's like their thing.
That's their thing.
That's their thing. And they were telling me yesterday, I was talking to Joe, not Schaefer, Giuseppe, as I call him, and that's actually his real name. And he was saying that there were some bare spots in the tree, so they had a great idea. When they trimmed off the bottom, they took those branches, then they drilled holes in the tree.
Oh, my God.
and inserted the branches in the bare spots.
Wow.
I'm like, I never would have thought of that.
No.
And he said the sap will naturally adhere them in there.
Yeah.
And it looked, they really did a nice job. But I had someone, the day the tree went up, the lady was very nice. She called, I think the tree actually got planted on, or last Thursday or Friday night, they put it up, whatever day it was. The very next day, I had someone contact me saying, well, what are you doing for other religious holidays? And she was new to the area, very nice lady. I had a very nice conversation with her. And I said, technically, it's not a Christmas tree. It's a holiday tree, as we have to put it. And it's holiday. But I said, we're open to all denominations. I said, we put a menorah out for Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. My building inspector, Ailes, of Jewish faith, and 10, 15 years ago, he went out and purchased a menorah that we put out, and he lights the candles. They're electric candles, but he takes care of that. We've had other people come to us, and I put that out there. If there's other religious faith who want to be acknowledged, all they got to do is contact their office and donate. Like our tree is donated. We don't pay for the tree.
Right.
The menorah is donated. I'm not, so my thing is,
you're not going to use taxpayer monies.
No.
Yeah, and that's rightfully so.
And, hey, if someone wants to celebrate Jerry Seinfeld's or George Costanza's Festivus, bring a Festivus pole. I don't care, But that's, so we make, because I remember years ago I put a star on the tree, and I got flack for putting a star on the tree.
No fooling.
And I'm like, I can't win. It looked beautiful, but that was denoting a specific religion, a star. To me, I don't know, Christmas trees and stars kind of go together. So let me see what they have on it this year. I got the pictures last night. I know last year we had one of the old Christmas bells, the ones they used to hang across Main Street when we used to have those.
Oh, you still have one of them?
We have all of them.
All of them?
So we restored one last year, and we put it on top of the tree as a topping. Yeah, they're all up in the attic. And The guys found, that's how excited they get. They found the old bells. They're like, hey, can we get one restored? We'll put it on the tree.
I remember those as a kid.
Yeah. So this year we have a snowman on top of the tree.
Oh, a snowman.
So yeah, it's right there.
Oh, very nice. Somebody will complain about that.
Probably. But why isn't it a reindeer? But they're all my guys in front of the tree. They take a lot of pride in it.
I see that.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Well, that tree does look. Oh,
yeah. Oh, we got that right across from the Dragon Inn. Weber, I think it was Weber's house, right across the street from the old Dragon Inn on 9W.
Yep.
Gorgeous tree. Gorgeous. It's one of the nicest ones I've seen.
So speaking of the Dragon Inn, I finally see the guy got the green light to get in there. It's looking better all the time.
I've been speaking with Nina, the new owner of it. She's very pleased. I mean, just the cleanup makes it look 10 times better.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, that was some misinformation when she was being held up by, you know, people who are on Facebook, which I hear, I don't read, and saying, you know, why is the mayor holding her? It was never my office holding her up, ever. We supported Nina from day one, as we've supported previous developers who wanted to develop that property. In this case, it was the state labor department that was holding her up for an old asbestos violation from a previous owner that never got satisfied. And, you know, my office, I actually contacted the State Department of Labor, foiled for a request, sent a letter of support for her, and eventually they cleared it, and then she was able to start work on it again. You know, but, you know, everybody's like, oh, you know what, it wasn't our office. You know, nobody wants that building restored more than I do, because I'm the one that hears about it all the time. And she knows it. Her and I, Nina, and I'm not even going to try to say her last name on the air. She knows who she is, and she grew up next door to the Dragon Inn. And so she's a Saugerties resident, born and raised here, has an affection for the building, and was able to pull together the resources to purchase it. And you know,
it's a great story. You know,
it is.
Really is a great story.
And I'm looking for it. You know, listen, she's, you know, it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a long process for her. She's very young. I think she's probably 30, give or take. So I mean, it's nothing that's gonna be done quickly. But she's doing it right. Right now, the guys are repointing the bricks and working on the roof, and, you know, doing a little bit at a time. But just to clean up, I mean,
it looks so 10 times better.
Yeah.
50 times better.
And the previous owners, you know, I was always disappointed that, you know, of the 3 previous owners, you know, one of them, 2 of them did really make a fair attempt to try to do something there, and one other person didn't. And I think in a couple of those cases, they just didn't realize what it was going to entail when they purchased the building, you know. And again, not being from the area, all 3 of them were people from outside of Saugerties. I don't think they had that passion about it either, like Nina had, or she has. So very exciting. Yeah, I'm very pleased to see that, you know. And you know, I think her intent is to make offices and a bed and breakfast and things of that nature out of there. So very cool.
That was a beautiful building in its day.
Oh, we did a lot of drinking there in our days.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I can remember Dave and John Chang.
Oh my God.
Then we got a couple other announcements we probably should read here. People are good enough to send them in.
All right. We have Sister Act Junior. December 3rd, 7 p.m. December 4th, 2 and 7 p.m. December 5th, 2 p.m. at J. Watson Bailey Auditorium. Ticket sales began on November 15th and will close on December 1st. Tickets are $7 for adults, $5 for children and seniors, and seats will be assigned for each show. If you want to go online, you can purchase tickets at www.showtick4u, just the letter U.com events. And again, that's Sister Act Junior, December 3rd, 4th, and 5th at J. Watson Bailey Auditorium.
And we've got the Snowflake Festival. That's taking place a week from Friday, December the 3rd, here in Uptown Kingston, 6 to 8 p.m. For kids under 12, they had a raffle, and the winners will be called at that time. Helmets and locks provided by Bike Friendly Kingston. There's going to be a tree lighting, Santa visit, fire twirler, ice carving, stilt band, juggler, fiddlers, dancers, and singers. This all takes place in Uptown Kingston, and it looks like there's like 8 different locations where there's activity happening, including Meet Santa from 6:15 to 8, the Senate House grounds. For more information, let's see here. We got a contact here for more information. I don't see one. But I'm sure if you called over to Kingston City Hall, they could give you some additional information. And big thanks to the 2021 bike sponsors, Catskill Hudson Bank, Berardi Real Estate, BHHS Hudson Valley Properties. The Kingston Uptown Business Association, they're the ones that are presenting this. So if you go onto their website and you'll see the schedule of events. And again, that's a week from Friday, December 3rd, 6 to 8 p.m., right here in Uptown Kingston.
And then we have our Reefs Across America, sponsored by the Sorganies. VFW Post 5034 is sponsoring a bus trip to Saratoga National Cemetery to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, teach our children the value of freedom by placing wreaths on the grave sites. This is Saturday, December 18th, 2021. It's $15 a person. It leaves from Greco Senior Center at 10 a.m. and will return approximately 5 p.m., and they will have a cash lunch stop. The cost per wreath is $15, and checks can be payable to VFW Post 5034, P.O. Box 152, Sorganies, New York. Contact us, our friend Bob Howe, at 845-246-8510. Even if you don't want to go and you want to donate a wreath, you can purchase a wreath that someone else can place on a grave. And this is, as we talked last month, this is just a great thing that the VFW has been doing for years. Bob puts a lot of time into it. It's I know it's a great day when they go there. It's well received, and just a great way to honor those who serve for our country.
Absolutely, yeah. Bob has been involved with that for many years. Now, are we doing a ball drop this year?
No,
we're not.
The chief doesn't want. Actually, Janine and I did speak with the chief to get his recommendation, and he said we should take one more year off. Okay. Based on just large gatherings, and that was his advice to mine. Janine and I did ask him about it, and he is the one that's got to supply that does a lot of the work for it. So it looks like we're not going to have a ball drop this year. So celebrate inside.
Yes.
Well, again, winter's coming. We do see the numbers going up. We certainly don't want to do anything that's going to spike anything.
Right.
And his decision, and I think he also probably might have spoke with Diaz as well, is to err on the side of caution one more year.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Listen, we could always do it again. I don't want to be responsible for something that's. Listen, still go out to the restaurants, support your local restaurants, have a good time. Can we change our mind between now and then? It's possible, maybe, but that's as of right now, we're not. The plan is not to hold a ball drop. I'm not putting it on the chief. We advised him, and it came out to be a group decision, but based on input we had from other groups.
Why not? I like to blame the chief.
That's true. I do too. Chief, it's your fault. Okay. Come on. I was trying to be nice to him. See, Chief, I was trying to be nice, and Greg wouldn't let me be nice. So, did Freddie call in or not? He just went to sleep.
I've been watching the thing the whole time. He must really not be feeling well. I'm sure he's listening.
He must have went back to sleep.
I don't blame him.
That's possible too.
I woke up at 5:30 this morning, and and I couldn't fall back to sleep. And then my cat came up and crawled up in my chest and was talking with me, so I just kind of laid there for a half hour.
Nice friendly conversation with your cat.
My one cat, Jasmine. Yes, she's my sweetheart. My 16-year-old cat, I took her to the vet last week or 2 weeks ago. It was really funny. I took her for her annual checkup, and Howie's got some new vets there. All great people, obviously. Circus Animal Hospital's fantastic.
Now it goes under a different name.
That's what I heard. I heard Howie still works there, but I heard he sold it. Correct.
Yeah. And it's veterinarian breed.
Yeah, I didn't look.
They took a sponsorship for the SA golf tournament. That's the only reason I know.
Yeah, they have there's five vets there now, and it was cute. The lady who looked at my cat, she's like, "How old is I?" I said, "She's almost 16," and she's like, "We probably should do blood work, all that." And I'm like, at that age, I'm like, okay. She calls me the next day, and she goes, "I have to call you." She goes, "That cat is amazing." She goes, she has the blood work of a kitten. She goes, there's nothing wrong with that cat whatsoever. In her blood, her urine. I go, she's like, are you sure she's almost 16 years old? I'm like, yeah. She goes, we're in awe right here of the results of all her blood. It was just kind of cute, you know. It's like, she's my little sweetheart cat. She's 9 pounds, and she's my buddy. But I have 3 of them.
You have 3?
I have 3 cats. AJ, Jasmine, and Milo.
Nice.
Yep. Milo's my son, the only boy in my house, and he hates me.
And he hates you.
And he hates me, yeah. He's the only cat. I'm the cat whisperer. Cats love me. And we got this cat. I'm like, I finally got a son. Because my house I've always had female cats, 2 daughters, my wife. I've always been very emasculated in my house. So last time we got a new cat, because we always had 3 cats. So if one passes over the years, we replace it. We've always like having 3. So I'm like, let's get a male cat this time. So I have a son. Nope, doesn't like me.
Hate you.
Hate you. Well, I took away his manhood, so I don't blame him, really. If someone took me and had my manhood snipped away, I wouldn't be too happy with him either, so.
So we got a nice lineup here, starting in after we come back from break. We have March Gallagher, who will be joining us. And then the 8 to 9 o'clock hour, we've got our State Assemblyman, Kevin Cahill. So, and again, listeners and viewers, anything you have for March Gallagher or Kevin Cahill, 331-9255 is that call-in number. And we ready for a break? We're ready for a break. We'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners and viewers who were with us the first half hour. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. We would love to hear from you. In the studio with me is the mayor from the Village of Sorgeties, Bill Murphy.
Good morning.
And we are expecting, I haven't heard anything different, March Gallagher, Ulster County Comptroller. And I know she's getting towards the end of the year with finances, and maybe she'll have a little bit of an update for us.
Good news.
And, of course, your fiscal year runs from
June 1st.
June 1st to May 31st?
May 31st. So I don't have any end-of-the-year budget crisis.
Not now.
I do mine in May. Most people forget about it. Don't think about it in May. Well, the school doesn't run the same way either, right? School runs from July 1 to June 30th. Right.
Which basically, coincides with the end of the school year, and that kind of makes sense.
I just read that the town budget passed.
Yes, it did, and Diaz was funded.
Yes, I saw that.
It was, there was controversy around it, and unfortunately, no one on the town board, I'm not certainly speaking for them, but they all had expressed did not want to pierce the tax cap. But we did have a serious void with Diaz, and it was certainly the number of calls. When I first, quite a number of months ago, having a conversation with Lisa and Jerry on the number of calls and how the number of those calls had spiked.
Right. Well, their intent, they needed an additional shift, right? That's what it was.
Yes. Yeah, they have a third ambulance. There was some misunderstanding there. It's a used ambulance,
right.
But I mean, and the third shift is 12. It's not 24 hours. It's not around the clock.
Right.
It's 12 hours. They obviously have identified the high call volume times, and it's also one of those things you have to look at, that minutes, literally minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can be.
And I think the COVID crisis brought more attention to it too, obviously, because they were so taxed during COVID.
Yes.
At the height of the COVID crisis, and let's face it, it's a service that we all benefit from. We hope we don't have to.
We hope we don't have to. Right. Exactly.
But you'd be glad when they're there, and I think it's kind of hard to argue that. I mean, obviously, like you said, you get people's concerns with breaking the tax cap, and it's and when I first saw it too, I'm like, what? And then when I read into it and realized, and I had those conversations and knew that the majority of it was to support Diaz. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just a very worthy cause that we all benefit from. So, same thing like if it's fire departments. I mean, do you want the fire department not to be there when you're, like
last night in Glasgow?
Yeah, we came by. Actually, we were on our way to Kingston, and it was funny. We went to Taste of Italy, and when we got there, the whole Sasso family was coming out, like just like 30 of them, like the wives, the kids. And we were talking with, and where the husbands? They all had to leave dinner. They had a big family dinner. They all had to leave to go to the fire. Yeah, they all had to get up and leave. And I saw someone sent me a couple pictures. I mean, I was pretty engulfed.
It was pretty intense.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't think anybody was injured. Right? I think everybody got out.
Nobody was. At a time, from what I was told, there was an individual who was trapped on the rear fire escape. But
any idea? Do they have any idea what caused it, or?
I have not heard. No, I have not. I've not heard.
Yeah, I heard. I think it was like about 5. Must have been like around 5:30, 6 o'clock when that went off.
Yeah, it was actually right around. Yeah, it was about
right around
6:15 because I was going to the rec committee meeting, and I heard it over the police.
I was on my way home and coming up Ulster Avenue, and I had 1 or 2 firemen fly by me. And I had gotten on my phone, so I knew what it was. I was kind of trapped. I was on Ulster Avenue. I had no place to pull over, and I felt bad. And I'm like, I kind of like slowed down and let him go around me because I was, there was just no place for me to pull over. But I got the impression when I read it, and it said, I get the things on the phone like you do, and it said fully engulfed structure fire. That's not a good sign.
No, it's not. No.
9 times out of 10, we get these things, it's alarm went off or something like that, But sometimes you get nervous, like when I read them, and I'm like, you see the address and you try to pinpoint it. And then anytime I see it was a personal injury accident, especially like, well, not so much now. My daughters are both away at college, but when they're home, the first thing I do is text my wife and daughters and make sure they're all safe, when I hear it's an auto accident, because, So sometimes it's good to know, but sometimes it makes me nervous when I get them, But like I was saying about the fire, things like we have a new fire truck coming next month, a new ladder truck.
Mhm.
And,
What did that end up running in the end?
I think just under $1 million, about 880, I want to say. It was pretty close to $1 million, and, we did it budget neutral, and it was about 3 years of planning we did financially to figure out how we could pay for it and not impact the budget directly. And we were able to do it. And then again, we have taller buildings in the village. That ladder truck was 27 years old.
Yes, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it just needed it, So, now in the last 5 years, we replaced both of our main. We replaced the white elephant over there on, Lynch. And now our ladder truck, our pump truck and our ladder truck have both been replaced. So now we're good. And again, they both were done budget neutral, took a lot of planning. And I'm glad,
And it gets to a point also where it's
the
maintenance on it, and it doesn't become cost efficient to Band-Aid.
No.
And then the other thing, and we encounter this more and more, is that parts become antiquated. You can't get parts.
Nope.
And a piece of equipment could be in great shape. This was the case with one of our mowers. Yeah, it was a 2004, but with a diesel engine. And diesel engines they just go, and when they're done going, they go some more.
Right.
And but we couldn't get parts.
Yeah. No, this fire. It didn't realize now, how outdated a lot of the parts.
Well, that's the other thing you got to take into account. Is it in line with safety standards?
It's hard to meet them, the OSHA requirements, and we would probably put in, I bet you, on an average, 15, 20 grand a year into the truck.
No fooling. Yeah.
On a good year, different things have gone wrong, and then it's out of service.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think the guys first approached me, shortly after we replaced the pump truck, and right away I'm like, come on, guys, we just spent $700 grand on a pump truck, and. I said, we can do it. Let's just, let's put together a plan. You guys draw the specs up. Unfortunately, one of our firefighter works for Garrison, so that's helped to have an inside guy with Garrison. And, it was about 3 years of planning, but we were able to do it. And not only that, but we won't have to make our first payment on it until 2023.
Oh, okay.
So that's helpful, too. I think we're financing it over 20 years. It was like the same thing with our sweeper when we replaced that,
I was going to text March Gallagher, but it's already 7:40. It's probably something last minute came up, or she got her. Excuse me, she got her Wednesdays mixed up, one or the other.
I just had trying to call. I don't know. And Freddie's still sleeping. But no, you have to replace stuff, like you said. It's like we replaced our sweeper 2 years ago.
I had to pick up the phone and make sure there was a dial tone. The phones are working, so.
Yeah, maybe
they're both sleeping. Oh. Not together. I'm just saying.
You never know.
Well, they're both married, aren't they?
Oh, by the way, today's our, I hope Dan and Tom don't mind, but we're doing Tom and Boys and Girls Club, sponsored by Diamond Mills, is doing our turkey dinner giveaway to Boys and Girls Club today.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm headed after we leave here. Give Dan a hand. I think Dan said Tom's dropping off the turkeys 8:30 this morning. And they'll be giving them out all day. So
we were able to scarf up probably about 300 boxes.
For Tom?
Yeah.
For these things? Okay, yeah. Well, we got rid of a lot of your boxes during COVID, too, remember? Right? You guys were supplying boxes when we were doing the...
Yes, yeah. And I went back to some of those same... And for the family meals that are going out, he obviously needs the bigger ones. You get a family of 4 or 6 or 8 people, and they're the larger ones from Price Chopper with the handles. And the manager over there, Scott, I can't think of his last name right now. He was very, very good with it, and as was my brother Jamie, who's Kevin Pitcock's right-hand man over at Construction Tool Warehouse. A lot of boxes came from there. And a lot of boxes from Rick and Sharon at Smith's Hardware.
No, it's a good time. I enjoy these. You know, these are things that make our community. Well, a lot of communities do it, but you know, there's a lot of people.
There's a total, what, 1,200 all total?
Yeah, I didn't get the count. I didn't ask, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I know. I thought. Yeah, that sounds roughly right. You know, I remember. Does the Legion still do theirs? Remember when we used to do the Legion ones? We used to deliver them to the houses.
No.
They don't do it anymore.
No.
Because I think I kind of got what we used to do. Like I used to get the families from the schools. We used to have like 30, 40 families and deliver them that weekend before Thanksgiving. And nope. As usual, Tom comes through. Him and I believe Family Woodstock as well.
Family Woodstock,
correct.
Right? And it's basically what, Sorgety's Kingston Woodstock?
I think so, yeah. And this year he's doing in honor of Mark
Bronstein,
yeah, because Mark was always a big part of it. Mark passed this past year, so I saw where Tom has a little note to him and his, you know, Mark's devotion to the community, and Tom will continue this. So,
no, he's an amazing individual. He's done so much, so much for our community, and always there. We got so many great people, you know. Bob Circasano, and you could just go.
Oh, Bob's a slacker.
Bob's a slacker?
Only in case he's listening. I'm just had to say that, but now I know Bob's anticipating his ice cream shop coming in soon and getting that up. I know how
they're going full bore with the construction.
Yeah, he's so excited about that. You know,
what?
He's literally like a kid in a candy shop over, which is something he always wanted. You know, and what a great location it's going to be for it. I think.
Oh, absolutely, especially the number of people coming in. You know, from out of town, off the thruway.
Off the thruway. And again, you know, we have Mickey's, and, we were talking. I mean, Mickey's takes care of the village. You know, not a lot of people that come off the thruway are going to drive all the way through town to go to Mickey's or even know about it, you know. So this is going to catch a different demographic. And, certainly Bob doesn't do anything to compete with other people, you know. He's not like that.
No, he's not.
This is something he's following his passion, something he always wanted to do, you know, and it's going to be really cool.
He's set up in his new office over at Sawyer Motors?
Yes.
Barbershop?
Yeah. I actually trimmed the other day, but he was booked.
He was booked?
Yeah. What was that? I was in there probably like 2 months ago. So, yep. Nah, he's something. I mean, I bet it's like funny. Like I think he was telling me that he called me last Saturday. He just, out of the blue, I'm sure he does it to you. Just,
yeah.
With ideas. Yeah, I love it. You know,
how you doing?
Yeah, and then he's always like, "I'm sorry for bothering you, Bob. You never bother me. Don't, please. You know, how you bother me when you're calling me about wanting to do something great for the community. You know." But he's planning a fundraiser in the spring at the old Newberry's building for the Art Commission, the Arts Council, Sorgety's, and so that was 2 weeks ago. He's already thinking about April. His mind is always going.
I don't know if I had mentioned to you, but I know I brought it up. No, because it was after you were last on, but I got invited to the viewing.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I was there. I saw you.
That's right, you were there. Jeez, yeah.
Wasn't that neat, the silent film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? When I walked into Newberry's, I don't know what it was, but growing up, I remembered that as much, much bigger.
Well, it had all the aisles and everything. Yeah.
But they've done a nice job with that.
Yes.
They've done a nice job with that.
Nope. She's done Jennifer Hicks, and she's done a great job with that building. And she has some, she's taking her time with it. I think she's planning on doing some kind of artisan market there over the winter, where there's going to be different vendors, like a shopping day, like have vendors come in and be set indoor, like an indoor farmers market type thing. She's got some ideas for it. I mean, it was a great, that night for the Orpheum, it was a great place to have a party.
Yeah, it was.
It was awesome, and it's so unique. The tin ceilings, and now if I remember correctly, right when we were growing up, that had the downstairs was where you buy clothes. That's where the clothing department was.
Yes.
Yes.
It was the same way at Woolworths.
Yes.
On the corner.
Yes, and then we had London's also. But I remember.
I mean, you would go downstairs and also in that building at
Yes.
the corner of Main and Partition.
Correct. Yes.
Well, you're right. Newberry's did.
That's where I used to buy all my baseball cards, or Ambrosia's. Remember Ambrosia's?
Yes.
Which my sister-in-law just opened a pet grooming store there.
Oh yeah, it's your sister-in-law?
That's my sister-in-law. Yep. And I was there Jess came up for the chamber, and we had the grand opening like 2 weeks ago, and I was telling the history because you had Mr. Ferraro's shoe store, the Village Cobbler next door, and then Ambrosia's, the little candy store. Who's that? The little old lady that worked there, Miss Ambrosia, that's probably her name.
Yeah,
the little gray-haired old lady, and you literally could go in there and buy penny candy. And I used to get my baseball cards there coming home from school, and then then Bono's restaurant was where the pharmacy is, right?
Right.
And, and then when I was growing up, the corner market, main and partition was Bill's Corner Store.
Right. Yeah. And then he moved over to Market Street. Or did he go from Market
He went from
Street?
Market to there.
He went from, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He went from Market to there. That was my brother Timmy's high school job. He worked for, we used to call it Nipe's. For some reason, I don't know why we called it Nipe's. That was the name of the store.
No fooling.
Yeah. And Timmy worked there. I remember the old legend, Timmy used to tell us, he used to roll quarters and then drill holes in the wall and put rolls of quarters in the wall. That's where he used to hide his money. He literally put holes in the wall.
Literally a full roll of quarter.
Yeah, in the walls.
And drill a hole in the wall.
And put the quarters there. Yeah. That's where he hid all his money.
And how did he disguise it?
I don't know.
They probably put a big picture up.
Probably.
Maybe they put the KCR logo over it.
There you go.
And then you had Paramount next door. Remember Paramount, where the antique place is? And that's where I used to get like Mother's Day gifts because there's a little more upscale. I still have this metal sculpture that I bought for my mother for Mother's Day one year. And when she passed, I kept it. And I remember something that I was like 10 years old or 12 years old, saving my paper out and bought it.
We've got a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Good morning to all, and I would like to wish each of you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Likewise to you, Mrs. R.
And I hope it's a wonderful day for all our listeners, and I hope that on this day that we do not have any violence throughout the world, and that it will come to an end. That people will learn to live together peacefully and be kind.
Well, I certainly echo your comments there, your words. I hope likewise that is the case because there's been far too many incidents. We talked in the first half hour, the mayor and I.
I heard that. Listen.
Yep.
But thank you very much, and you have yourself a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you, and enjoy with whoever you're spending it with, and I hope they have a wonderful day, too. So, I want to thank you for all you do, and I really enjoy the show when you're on, well, when everyone's on, but especially
you like us the most. We know that. That's okay. You can say that.
Yeah, it's okay to say that. Okay, thanks for your call, Mrs. R. You have an awesome day and a great Thanksgiving. And we got another caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Does anybody remember the Chinese laundry on Market Street?
You know what? Vaguely.
I don't.
I vaguely remember that. I had to be real young. And then there was also a food mart next to it. Yes, and I remember Ken Beadle because that was my first job, 14 years of old. The Chinese laundromat was a no tiki, no washi.
Yeah, it was. That's what I remember. It was funny.
I will never ever forget that.
I remember that.
Yeah, no tiki, no washi, and next to it was a food mart, and I remember my father used to send me over there for black olives. Don't ask me why I only remember black olives. I have no idea in the world.
And do you remember the father and son barbershop? They were right in that area, too.
Joe Bosco's?
No, it was on Market Street, because I used to take my son there for his haircut. And my son had very stubborn hair, and they used to put all the gel on his hair, and they used to be very nice. They would very nice to the children that went there. They gave them lollipops, and my son didn't mind going there. So I remember them for that reason.
I remember where the medical building is. Used to be Empire, right? Empire Market.
That's all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
On West Bridge.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, Grand Union, obviously, where the post office used to be. Imagine we used to have Grand Union right in the village there on Market Street.
And we also had in the building that burned on Main Street. Didn't we have a grocery store there at one time?
Yeah, the Grand Union.
That was on Market Street.
No, there was another one, right? Oh, maybe it was the A&P. There was
A&P, yes.
Yes, A&P.
Yeah.
And then we had Mr. Maltstay's butcher shop down on Partition.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? And I go back to, I was born in 65, so I remember a decent amount of it. You're a little older than I am, but
I don't remember the father and son barbershop.
I don't either, no.
Oh, yeah, they were very nice. I had a lot of fun times there because they treated my son good, and he loved to come, and they would laugh at him because he would talk back to them, and he was the kind of kid that said what he wanted to say, and but they got along great, and it was a pleasure taking my son there because they gave the kids all lollipops, and
So then you must remember the Goody Shop, right?
Yeah.
That was my father, my mother, aunt, grandfather, Buck, Mary, Tina.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember my aunt and uncle had John and Betty's liquor store where the Chinese place is. Remember John and Betty's liquor store?
Yeah, I do. Now that you mention
that's
that.
where Szechuan King is. And that was next door was Bosco's barbershop.
Yep.
Where Dutch, the computer guys and that is. And I used to go to Bosco's. I remember I'd cry every time my father took me in there and tell him give me a brush cut. I don't want a brush cut.
And I remember Bono's, the restaurant, right in the end there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they had the best meatball sandwiches you could ever.
They had great pizza too.
I remember that burnt on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. That was
1984, I believe.
You should got a good memory. And what year did the building finally burn? I know it burned a couple of times. The one that they had to demolish after the last fire, right where the Reese parking lot is now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that. There's a building where Reese parking lot used to be?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was a 3-story building.
I don't remember that.
I can remember after they demolished that building, I was working for Ken Beadle, and we used to take things down to Doc Wanger's that was on Westbridge, okay, or if Paramount had, the pharmacy had something that Beatles didn't have and vice versa. I can remember walking back from Beatles. It was Veterans Day because there wasn't any school, and they had put this large, heavy 8-10 mil piece of plastic on the wall, the exterior wall of the building next to it because that had gotten damaged. We had a snowstorm on Veterans Day, got over a foot of snow. The winds were unbelievable, and the whole bottom of that, I remember, all let loose, and it was like a big sail just whipping because the top was still intact. I was saying to myself, if this thing ever takes off.
Oh, my God. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the building there.
You don't remember that building?
No. Nope. Well, like I said, you date me a couple years.
Yeah, I do.
Not too many.
Couple years. But I'm glad you mentioned the Chinese laundromat.
Well, I remember it was so funny because my father-in-law would go in there and get his shirts. So they did a great job on the shirts. They were stiff as a board, though, but they did a beautiful job.
That's the way my father always did it. He always wore a white shirt.
Yeah.
So I guess at the ice cream parlor, if you got vanilla ice cream on your shirt, you didn't see it, but I don't know what the heck happened when you got chocolate on it. Oh boy, you bring back some memories.
Mm. Oh well, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Nice talking to you.
That was a nice little chat. You have yourself a
fire last night.
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
I hope nobody got hurt.
In the fire last night. No, anybody got hurt. Nobody got hurt.
No, nobody got hurt. No.
Where was it?
In Glasgow, Four Corners.
Oh, whose house?
It was the white apartment building on the Four Corners of Glasgow.
Oh, okay.
I know the owner. I don't want to say the owner's name over the air.
Right. Nice talking to you.
You too. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks for calling in. Have an awesome Thanksgiving and a great holiday season.
You too.
Thank you.
No tiki, no washi.
No tiki, no washi.
That's funny, dude.
Well, I remember where Boys and Girls Club used to be, where it was Town Hall at one point. My parents were going. That was a bowling alley. My father used to work there, setting pins.
Do you remember after A&P moved out, the pool hall?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, now that was in the building that burned.
Okay. Yeah. See, I vaguely remember it now. Yeah.
The A&P was in there, and then after the A&P,
I was very little, but I do remember it now. Yeah.
After the A&P went out, it became a pool hall.
All right.
Well, you stop and think of what we used to have in the village. Like you said, at one time, right in the heart of the business district, you had 3 supermarkets with Grand Union, A&P, and Empire.
Yep.
And then you had one at, what is it, Allen Street in Petition? No, not Allen. Right at the
Montrose. Montrose? Oh, no, at the Point. Yeah, that might be Allen Street. Yeah, most days. The butcher was. Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's Allen Street. Yep. I remember that. I used to go there. My mother used to go there to get her meats.
You headed up the Petition Street. You had Sammy Gilmore's.
Yep.
You had Booze.
Eddie's Delicatessen.
Boy, I spent a lot of time there with Eddie Feldman. And
Yep.
It was great growing up in the village.
And what's been there through all that? Montana Shoe Store. It's been there through all, right? They've been there over 100 years, right? Yeah. I mean, that's been the staple. That, the Exchange. Smith's, I always tell people those are our core businesses. Those three have been there, and either on the Orpheum Inn, they've been there the longest. Sorgy's Furniture Mart, they've probably been there quite a long time too, right? 2 generations.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. They've been as long as I can remember.
I mean, Village Pizza's is young compared to them, but Village Pizza's been there 50 years. Yeah. It's just amazing. And I always tell. I mean, we've always had those core places that always, have always been our anchor. I always call them our anchor stores.
And you look at the number of clothing stores, because you mentioned Jacobs, mentioned
London's, yeah,
and then you had the one where Marabella's building is right now. And I'm trying to think that.
Yes.
What was that?
Is that Vanetten's Card Shop? No. Vanetten's were next to Ohana.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vanetten's Card Shop. And you just go there, you could buy records, you could buy 45s, and I know you're talking about the one where Marabella's is now. That was a dance studio at one time, too. That was Rose Fabiano's dance studio, too, at one time, in the later years before. And then it became a wine shop. Before the wine shop, it was Rose Fabiano's dance studio.
Okay.
And then it became a wine store, and that's when it burnt down. Then Brendan bought it and made it Marabella's.
Yes.
But you're right, there was a clothing store prior to Rose. Yeah.
Can't think of what that is. But I'm sure it's going to come to me.
Well, there was no mall in Kingston. That's where we did our back-to-school shopping.
Yeah.
London's was a big deal. My mother would take me to London's before school started.
Absolutely.
Sure. Get my first pair of Levi's there, and I thought that was cool.
All right, it's the top of the hour. We're going to be back in a few with State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill. And birthdays, not just for today, but for tomorrow.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM. And also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
This is Greg Chovas, and once again, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund is asking you to help the needy this holiday season. For the last 50 years, the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund has helped less fortunate families have a happier holiday. Look for our collection boxes at the local branches of the Ulster Federal Credit Union, Rondout Savings Bank, the Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Ulster Savings Bank, and at the Kiwanis Ice Arena in Sorgenes. Thank you very much, and have a happy and Merry Christmas.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
This is the story of Daniel, who was born 2 months early. His lungs weren't ready. His heart wasn't ready. His parents could only hope that one day he would leave the hospital healthy, and they would all live happily ever after. Daniel's is just one of the more than 500,000 stories of babies born prematurely last year. You can help the March of Dimes stop premature birth and bring more babies home healthy. Learn how at marchofdimes.com. Working together for stronger, healthier babies.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quick from Town of Ulster. I support Kingston Community Radio, and you should too.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Huge Knicks fan.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, viewers and listeners who have been with us. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. But we have birthdays.
All right.
And what do we got there, Mayor?
All right, we have happy birthday to Donna O'Rourke. Love from Johnny O and your sister Diane. And we have another birthday wish for Donna O'Rourke from your friends at Sorgady's Cantine Veteran Sports Complex. So Donna got 2 birthday wishes. And we have one more. I have another one. Happy birthday, Pat Mooney, from your friends at the Town of Ulster Senior Club.
And today's winner of that famous cow pie is Donna O'Rourke.
She stacked the ballot box. She had 2.
I see. Better known as OD1 Kenobi.
OD1 Kenobi.
That is Donna O'Rourke. So, Donna, congratulations. Happy birthday. When you get the opportunity, get down to Boy's Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street, and pick up that cow pie, which is courtesy of Boy's Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio. And as I've mentioned in the past, this is not only does Boy's Dairy Milk House do this Monday through Friday, it's 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. On Fridays, they always take care of Saturday and Sunday. And since we are not on the air tomorrow, we've got the birthdays for Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, we're giving out 2 different sets of it. All right. Wow.
We're going to give away 2 cow pies today.
We're loaded here. All right. So we have happy birthday tomorrow to Liam O'Neill from Family and Friends. And a happy birthday to Dave Kalin on Thanksgiving from your mom, Jen, and Dad. Love you, Dave.
And tomorrow's winner
is
of that famous cow pie is Liam O'Neill.
All right.
Liam, you do likewise. Get down to Boy's Dairy Milk House, 62 O'Neill Street. Pick up that famous cow pie. That could be part of dessert after the Thanksgiving dinner, or with your morning coffee the following day. That's when I eat my pumpkin pie because I'm too stuffed to eat it the day of. Courtesy of Boy's Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio. So congratulations, Liam O'Neill. Thanksgiving birthday. And also again to Donna O'Rourke, who is celebrating her birthday today. Congratulations to both of you. Happy birthday. Have yourself awesome days.
And I just throw one more announcement in. I have to wish happy anniversary to my wife for a glorious 23 years on Saturday. In case she's listening, I'm just trying to kiss up to her. But
we need to have a little. That's 3 times I did the bell today.
All right, 23 years. I don't know what the hell she was thinking.
I don't know what she was.
I know. Well,
congratulations.
Congratulate her. She's the one who puts all the work in.
My sympathies to her.
Sympathies to her, yes.
Well, as I was doing birthdays, our state assemblyman, Kevin Cahill.
I heard you were lonely today. I
heard I was lonely.
I looked in on the YouTube video and I saw.
We did a village history lesson. It was quite entertaining.
You guys doing what I do in Kingston all the time, talking about what used to be where.
Yeah, it's cool, though.
And then I also saw that.
I love to talk history.
You know what's neat, though? Like we were just saying between him and I, what are we, 6 years apart? How old are you?
Yeah, 64.
Okay, I'm 56, 8 years apart, but just the things he's remembered that I don't remember, just that 8-year difference, And
well, it's interesting you say that because probably the most popular morning host on KCR and I frequently march in the St. Patrick's Day Parade together, and she is that much younger than me. And Nina Posterpak and I walk down Broadway, and I tell her what used to be in every building on the way down, and what used to be and where there are parking lots, and what used to be on the side streets, and now I guess all Kingstonians don't have to go through the burden of marching with me in the parade, because I think Steve Blauweiss's book is coming out that will have an emphasis on the Broadway businesses, and people will be able to know for themselves. But it is fascinating. I mean, when I go back and I look at, I remember thinking when the Hudson Valley Mall was built. I was actually in school at the time. I was in Albany Law School at the time. But I remember when it was built, I came home and I got in the car and I got to the top of Broadway and I drove all the way down to the foot of Broadway, and I was ecstatic that there were 1.5 times as many stores on Broadway as there were in the mall.
Really?
Because everybody thought, everything closed and went to the mall. But no, it wasn't true. There were still tons and tons of businesses on Broadway. And quite frankly, they've changed pretty dramatically over the years, but they're still mostly full.
And now it's, the malls are retracting now. And now it's
the
back.
malls are in a different position right now.
Yeah, and I love the way Kingston's set up right now. They're on a stretch, for how many years was Kings Mall dying? And now Kings Mall, again, is back, and then you have the strip mall across the street, and it's great. I mean, you can see everything from the road,
I thought that the renaissance of the town of Ulster would be Mammoth Mart and Monkey Wards.
True.
Sorry, I still do it, no matter where I am. Dee Dee's Pharmacy, Hamburger Hut.
Monkey Wards. Yeah.
Monkey Wards, yep.
Monkey Wards.
So I had a discussion last week about the early Stewarts in Kingston, and there was one I didn't know about. There was a Stewarts on St. James Street, apparently, that I was unaware of. I knew there was a Stewarts on Lower Broadway.
What was their name before Stewarts?
I don't know.
Perky's.
Oh, Perky's was their name? I know that's the name of their milk, but...
I used to call it Perky's growing up. I think that was actually was it the store name, I think?
Yeah.
That was the name of their milk, Perky's. Okay, all right. I called it Perky's growing up.
Yeah, but I remember, in particular, I remember one time my dad was in the hospital, at Kingston Hospital, and at the time, and I don't know what the current rule is, at the time, young kids were not allowed in the hospital.
Right.
So he was in the window, and he had burned his hands, and he had big bandages on his hands. And my brother Jimmy brought me down there, and we stood outside the window so we could see my dad in the hospital, make sure he was okay. I guess I had to know that. And my dad threw down some dimes to me with his big bandage-covered hands. He squeezed them together; it looked like boxing gloves. And he just threw dimes down to me on Broadway at the Kingston Hospital. And I went down to Stewart's on Broadway, and I bought pints of ice cream. My brother and I each bought a pint of ice cream, and I think it was 25 cents or 20 cents for a pint. And maybe it was a dime. I don't even know. But it was it's a memory that's etched in my brain.
Now it's $2.99 for a pint.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Which
still isn't bad. I mean, I get once or twice a week I get a pint.
But the what used to be there discussion happened yesterday. I was fortunate enough to be spending some time with some other local officials and the governor, handing out turkeys on for Thanksgiving to local families from the Salvation Army on Cedar Street. And I happened to say loud enough for others to hear that were not in the conversation that the building where the Salvation Army is located on Cedar Street used to be a row of houses that were part of my paper route. With that, a young woman, a little older than me, came over and she said, "I grew up in this neighborhood. Tell me more." And we ended up talking for probably 20 minutes after all the turkeys were distributed about the old hood, the old neighborhood. And I didn't really grow up in that neighborhood. I grew up across Broadway, which could have been, you needed papers to cross Broadway. But I had friends. I had many, many friends in that neighborhood because the Boys and Girls Club was there, and a lot of the kids I went to school with were there. And my paper route was there, so I got to know it very well. And we started talking about houses, and I had a complete flashback. It was like I just had, and I said, it's interesting that we're talking about this. She told me where she lived. I said, this weekend I was at a hearing because I was in the National Council of Insurance Legislators meeting. I said I was in a hearing about insurance for dogs, people who have dogs, and whether they can get their homeowners insurance, and whether there's an issue about the breed of dog and that sort of thing. And I said, I'm a supporter of providing insurance for people without regard to the breed of their dog. Breeds are not dangerous. Breeding is dangerous. How you raise a dog is dangerous. And I said, this is coming from the natural enemy of all dogs, a paperboy. And I recounted this house that I went to, this one house that I went to across from the library, where I would knock on the door on Fridays to collect my 55 cents for the paper for the week, and a collie would charge me. A giant collie would charge me, and while that collie was charging me, like a chihuahua was nipping at my heels. Meanwhile, in the hallway was like a giant, I want to say it was a toucan or a parrot or something, a giant bird, and a monkey that attacked me. And
good Lord, I'd stay away from that house.
And I said to the folks I was with on the weekend, now, that was a long time ago. That was more than 50 years ago. I might be embellishing. And this woman said, you were not embellishing. That was exactly the house. We were scared to death of that house. And then she went on to tell me, that I was attacked by the dog in that house. So vindication. So anyway, it's been a pretty eventful week. The Assembly Judiciary Committee issued its report on Governor Andrew Cuomo and what apparently the committee decided were his misdeeds, and it really centered around a couple of different things. There was the whole issue of whether he had created a hostile work environment by committing acts of sexual harassment against employees and others in the area. There was the second question about whether he tampered with nursing home data. And a third question about whether he used state resources for the production, sale, promotion, marketing of his book. And a fourth question about the safety of the Tappan Zee Bridge and whether the governor was involved in any form of a cover-up there. On the last question, the committee said they didn't have enough information one way or another, but that there was an indication that the governor's office was notified of some shortfallings on the bridge, nothing that anybody perceived to be particularly dangerous at the time, and that information was not fully conveyed to the public. On the issue of sexual harassment, they said hands down there's unassailable evidence that the governor committed it on multiple occasions, and that he then sought to do what is sort of a compounding effect of attempting to either intimidate or diminish those who accused him in a particularly negative way. In the case of the book, in the case of the statistics, the committee was very mild in their summary description, but if you read the entire details, it's far less mild. The committee's conclusion was that the governor was less than transparent about the Governor Andrew Cuomo, I'm talking about, less than transparent about nursing home data, that there were issues surrounding nursing home data that were distortions. They did not find any evidence that it led to any deaths. That was not part of their findings, although that question remains open to many, many people. There was an order to return people to nursing homes in the beginning. Then there was an order to not return people to nursing homes. So confusion reigned in the beginning. But none of the deaths of people who came from nursing homes and went to hospitals were recorded as nursing home deaths in the beginning, and it resulted in a severe undercount. And therefore, and this is where it becomes significant to me as a policymaker, therefore the legislature, our health officials at the local level, were not fully armed and informed as to how they might have taken steps to protect the most vulnerable population, because the condition of that population was not entirely clear or accurate. They said transparent. I think he lied. I think he manipulated data, and I think he did it for a cynical reason. This is not a finding in the report, but the next finding speaks to that, and that was that the governor extensively used staff for the drafting, the editing, the management, the promotion, the marketing of the book. and that he made $5.2 million, and he tried to create the impression that he made far less, only a couple of $1 million. I mean, if you ask me, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But he indicated on a radio talk show with my former professor Alan Shartock that his larger sum would only be given to him if the book did well, that it was a marketing bonus, and that was a lie. It was not true. His base compensation for the book amounted to $5.2 million, and then
base compensation.
Yes.
Base.
Yes, and then bonuses of another. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm not reading anything, as you know. It's all from memory. The additional compensation, I think, was to the tune of $1.2 million or possibly more, should the sales hit a certain threshold. So, all in all, it was a damning report, and many members of the committee and many members of the legislature think it's not the end of the road. Experts largely agree. I know there's some discussion in the public right now about whether it's true or not, but experts who I trust and respect for their understanding of the Constitution of the state of New York, for their understanding of legislative prerogative, have fairly concluded that a person who is not in office cannot be impeached, and therefore impeachment is not available to the Assembly to bring charges against the governor. However, everything I just said, if it is not clearly criminal, it borders on criminal. We have laws against using state resources. We have laws against falsifying data. We have laws against sexual harassment. We have laws against hiding information about safety. Each and every one of those instances, I believe, is worthy of further investigation by the respective district attorneys where the incidents are alleged to have taken place, and that there should be prosecution. And I'll take it one step further. Although Governor Andrew Cuomo, and I'm specifying that because I really do not, I had a lot of problems with his dad, but I don't want to besmirch his good name. But Governor Andrew Cuomo, among other things, just did these things with a wanton abandon. He just believed it was all okay. And that's troubling to me, and it's troubling to a lot of people. I think that ultimately we will see justice served. And when justice gets served, it will not just be criminal charges against Andrew Cuomo. It will be criminal charges against some of those people in the very close circle around him who facilitated, importuned him, gave him the chance to do these sorts of things, covered up or participated in the intimidation of potential witnesses.
Now, I just listened to you rifle off probably a half a dozen, maybe it was 7, or the way I looked at it, I felt that he had this attitude, okay, that he was above the law. And we have to go back to April of 2020, May, June, that time frame. He was like on top of the world with the way he was handling COVID in New York State and in New York City. I mean, other governors were looking upon it with him. And I just think that elevated to where he just felt that the whole list that you ran off. I mean, you mentioned the Tappan Zee Bridge. And I can remember going across that several times with those raised plates that they would have. And, you know, I'm thinking the volume of traffic that goes over the bridge and the weight of some of the trucks that go over the bridge. And there were literally either fractures or small holes. There was a reason those plates were there.
That may or may not have been related to the actual issue. The issue was that during the reconstruction of the bridge, during the building of the new bridge, there was clear evidence that certain bolts were being contaminated by some hydrogenation process, and
so this was with the new bridge, not the old. Okay, all right.
No, believe me, everybody knew the old bridge was dangerous. You couldn't lie about that. But the bolts on the new bridge, there were several bolts, 5, I think, specifically, that had to be removed and replaced, that had become brittle through a process of some chemical exposure in the air. And the question was that pervasive? the committee did not have the wherewithal to make that determination, and I understand. So probably, if you were to ask me as a policymaker, what is most troubling as a father of young women, most troubling is the way he treated women in his circle. But as a policymaker, the thing that I found most troubling were two things. The distortion of public information that didn't allow us in the legislature to do our jobs. And the other was the use of public resources for private gain. And then his attack dog came out and said, "Oh, the legislature's being hypocritical. You all use your staff for private purposes." And I was like, "Really? You've never met my staff." He said, "You virtually force them into campaigning." Most of my staff is not engaged in my campaign. In fact, only one person on my current staff has ever even expressed an interest in working on my campaigns. And in the past, I've had people from the opposite party. I have people who are not particularly politically engaged, and I don't think I'm unique. I think that's fairly common amongst legislators. So the sort of "oh yeah, we're bad, but you're worse" approach to defense is a little troubling. And by the way, in the report, and it's only about 40 pages, and it's available to the public. In the report, there were admissions by Governor Andrew Cuomo that he committed some of these acts. There were admissions that he manipulated data. There were admissions that he groped, in particular, a New York State trooper. It is a damning report. I did see 3 silver linings. And the first silver lining that I saw was that the charges that our Attorney General had taken the investigation and used it for purely political purposes has been debunked. This report is entirely consistent with what the Attorney General determined. And although her standard for criminality is different as an Attorney General than a district attorney standard, certainly if you put the two reports together, you can see some evidence of criminality. So the good news is that Tish James' integrity that was questioned by nefarious people has been vindicated and restored. The second thing is that yesterday morning, last week, last month, I've had interactions with Governor Kathy Hochul, and I now know what government is supposed to work like. I now understand what it's like to not have a bully in the governor's office, what it's like to have someone whose goal is the same as mine, and that is to do good for the people of that we represent, of our state, of our districts. And Governor Hochul has done that. Within weeks of her assuming office, over $55 million in local construction projects were released by the office that had been withheld by the previous governor. The Governor Hochul has made appearances here twice. I've been in her company in Ulster County, not Albany, in Ulster County, in just the last month. She has been attentive to the needs of the people of the state, but even more importantly, and something nobody ever sees, she has given the directive to the agencies that work under her authority to be cooperative with local officials, with state legislators, and to go out and do the right thing. That's the way government's supposed to work. It's not a fiefdom. It's not a kingdom. He's not a monarch. She's not a monarch. And so the good news is that it's not the system. It was the person. So I think there were some really good reasons for optimism from this whole thing. And sad as the chapter was, and I really want us to get beyond it in the legislature, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. We have a ton of work ahead of us. I don't wish former Governor Andrew Cuomo ill, but I do think he should be held accountable for his misdeeds, and that includes, as you probably remember from last week, the the ethics panel that authorized the printing of the publication of the book, and him allowing the governor to accept the compensation for the book, withdrew that authorization because he did not comply with the terms. The Ethics Oversight Board specifically said you may not use public resources, and he clearly did. There's been an allegation by his public relations people that it was all voluntary, but there is absolutely 100% uncontrovertible testimony to the contrary. So that was the business of the Assembly Committee that we've all been waiting with bated breath for many months to hear about, and
that was pretty good.
Let me assure the public
that was pretty good. All right out of your mind. You're not looking at notes.
Well, I don't have notes on that. I have notes on fun stuff like the Snowflake Festival right here that you
announced.
Right, and you were looking for a place for people to get more information. This is an interesting address. It's Cuba, Kuba .network. So if you put that into your browser, Cuba.network, you should be able to get more information about the Snowflake Festival.
Kingston Uptown Business
Association, right? And it's they have a nice flyer. I just picked it up at the Market Basket. And it's Friday, December 6th from 6 to 8 with a tree lighting, Santa visit, fire twirlers.
December 6th or 3rd?
I said 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on December 3rd. Tree lighting, Santa visit, fire twirlers, ice carving, stilt band, jugglers, fiddlers, dancers, singers. Of course, I was there one year, probably one of the early years that this was done, maybe about 12 years ago. It was magical. It was magical. I didn't know it was taking place. I was eating in a restaurant, and I looked out the window, and there were people going by in horse-drawn carriages, and there was a chestnut seller on the corner, and there were carolers walking up and down the street, and the snow started to fall. It was perfect, out of a storybook. So that's
a lot of Christmas stuff. Events, holiday events happening. Good to see that did not happen last year. And the mayor and I talked about Holiday in the Village. That's coming up
December 5th.
December 5th.
That's a Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's sponsored
Bob
by.
Bob always does it on a Sunday.
And we have our fire trucks parade and the lighting in Siemens Park.
And of course,
that's the highlight of the day, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh no! The highlight of the day is the whole community rising up and celebrating Anna Colello's birthday.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe she was my office mate for 12 years. On December 5th,
Oh,
we
okay.
exchange birthday greetings every year.
All right. With that, we'll close this half hour, and we'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses who work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
The booster for at least another.
Thank you, Lawrence, and welcome back, listeners and viewers who have been with us. We're in our last half hour. Those just joining us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill is in the studio, as is Mayor Murphy, who stepped out just for a minute, Village of Saugerty's mayor. And I know you have a few more items.
I know you were talking about your December 5th festival in Saugerty's Village, and I mentioned the Snowflake Festival in Uptown Kingston on December 3rd. So let's go right down the middle and talk about Sinterklaas in Rhinebeck. The Sinterklaas Festival is going to take place on December 4th in Rhinebeck. I'm not sure whether they have a Kingston Sinterklaas this year. They have in the past. They usually send Santa Claus across the river in Kingston, and then he shows up in Rhinebeck.
Okay.
And it's a fun. If you've never attended Sinterklaas, it is a terrifically fun event, and if you want to get the feeling of small town America. Go to Rhinebeck on the night of Sinterklaas, or go to downtown Kingston. It really is fantastic with the parade and the lights and the crowds and the hot chocolate, and it's a winter fest. So that's a good one. I can wait till after we talk to Paul, but
okay.
I know I want to talk a little bit about what we're facing for the 2022 agenda.
Okay. All right, Dr. Paul. Good morning.
I think Lawrence has to give them to us.
Oh, Lawrence has to.
I think he put him on hold. He said I heard him say, "I'll put you on hold till I get back."
All right. So until Lawrence comes back in, you want to rifle up?
Yeah, I'll just tell you some of the things. Paul, please don't go away because I want to hear what you have to say. I'm in the process of reintroducing the expanded Bigger, Better bottle bill. That would increase the number of beverage containers that would be subject to the deposit, and also would increase the deposit to 10 cents, with 5 cents of it going to the Environmental Protection Fund.
I did hear that. I've heard. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. There about 74% of eligible containers are already returned. It's done it's been one of the most significant means by which we decrease the amount of trash going into landfills. If we expanded the containers, and the recycling community doesn't know what was inside the container before it was recycled. So any of those containers that are the same containers in a water bottle, in I think water is currently part of it, but alcoholic beverages like wine and liquor, those things would be included. So that's one of the things we're trying to put together. We're trying to put together a bill for. To allow the marijuana industry in New York State to have a banking facility that they can use. We're looking forward to the budget. I have lots more, but I'm anxious to hear Paul.
Okay. We got Dr. Paul with us. Good morning. Did we lose him?
George, you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, George.
Oh, George.
Yes, good morning, gentlemen. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, we got two callers.
Everybody have a very happy day tomorrow. Eat and enjoy. It's a 0-calorie day.
Yep. Absolutely. You do the same?
Yep, Kevin, I agree with you that Mr. Cuomo should be held accountable for all his actions through the courts and stuff because, to make money like he did off of the misery of people who died from COVID and family members who lost people who died from COVID is really sickening. And so I would definitely like to see him pay for his actions and stuff. And I want to thank you guys for doing the job that you do every day during the year, and also all the hosts on the radio station for being here Monday through Friday. You guys put on fantastic shows all the time, and a lot of them are really, really interested, and people can learn a lot, and that's why we need Kingston Community Radio to continue. So thank you guys. Have a terrific Thanksgiving, and I'll keep following you guys throughout the year.
Great. Thank you very much, and likewise to you and yours. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, Dr. Paul, you can call back now. He hung up. But
he hung up?
But now he can call back. Yeah.
Hopefully he hears you, and he calls back.
So the just to people are interested in this, if you're having a little trouble with your mortgage, if you're 100% of the area median income or below, you've used up your unemployment and you're still unemployed, starting in January 3rd, the Homeowners Assistance Fund is going to be kicking off with applications. And that will, it's a fund that's coming from the federal government, about, I forget the amount of money, $540 million from the American Rescue Plan, will allow people who are late on their mortgages to get some relief and help get them stable again. This is the website goes live next week for applications, but the program starts in January. Very important program. We had a member of our staff attend a seminar on it yesterday. We're going to have more information as time rolls out, but we've done some stuff for tenants. We've done some stuff for tenants and landlords, and this is a program for homeowners to try to get us all back on our feet after COVID. So it's a good program. Did we have Dr. Paul yet?
No, I'm staring at the thing, and he hasn't called back yet.
Okay.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. So the next big piece of business that we'll be dealing with in Albany, in addition to the governor introducing her budget in the middle of January, is the once every 10 years redistricting of the state legislature and the federal Congress that takes place in legislatures across the country. Kind of disappointing that the Legislative Redistricting Commission came out with unreadable maps that were not a consensus of the whole commission. They came out with 2 sets of maps, none of which can be actually used. So the task is going to be for them to either revise that and give us maps that we can work with, or for the legislature to draw the maps ourselves, and that's been the subject of some criticism in the past. So we're hoping to be able to wrap that up very quickly so people know what district they live in and who they can vote for. And there's some big questions. There's some one of the maps puts Congressman Delgado in a district with Congressman Paul Tonko. There's a number of ways that the maps have been manipulated. So
we got Dr. Paul back?
All right.
We do.
Yep.
Good morning, Dr. Paul.
Good morning. I was called back again, and I got somebody in Florida, so glad to get back. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. But Kevin, we the people are your bosses and pay your salary, and are entitled to be informed as to the consequences of bills which you supported. 2 examples are the bail bill. How many and the percentage of those who received bail and were released were arrested again? And how many persons who use legalized marijuana have become victimized by moving on to other dangerous drugs? As your bosses and payers of your salary, we the people are entitled to know when we will receive this information.
Next time I'm on the air, Paul.
You will, thank you, because I think those are critical issues as we're seeing around the country. The crimes that are being committed by people who should never have been released on bail. And so I think we have to, start assessing whether or not passing those bills need to be revised and the proper ones be, brought into our government.
Well, there's still a dispute as to the application of the bail law. I know a local judge denied bail to 3 people charged with capital offenses or attempted capital offenses, and an appeals court reversed that decision, citing in part the bail laws that require, and this is not new science or new law, that requires the least restrictive outcome to occur in a bail hearing, and reiterated the fact that bail is not a means of preventive detention. I'll get the information. I will tell you my awareness of the situation is that the information is not complete yet. As you know, you need a little time to digest and analyze statistics, and not necessarily enough time has passed with regard to the changes in the bail law to arrive at any serious conclusions. But I will give you the information we have. In terms of marijuana being a gateway drug, and that it became more of a gateway drug as a result of the legalization, well, first of all, it's not completely legal yet. It is legal for possession. It is legal for use. It is not legal for sale. in a regulated environment. Yet, and that's an important component of where we're going to go. But there's no evidence that there's an increased use of marijuana either, nor is there evidence that to those folks who might be willing to try marijuana if it is legal, count me in that group, would use it as a gateway drug toward anything else, and that we would not have used it when it was illegal. I think that the world view, certainly the American view, the nonpartisan American view of marijuana has changed dramatically over the past couple of years. And just a reminder that I was kind of late to this party. Former Assemblyman, the late Tom Kerwin, was a strong advocate for legalized medical marijuana for 5 years before I was. The marijuana laws did change with bipartisan support. The jury's still out. Here's an interesting possibility, and I hope that when we have enough information that this theory is borne out. One of the reasons that marijuana was considered a gateway drug was because the people who were buying it were exposed to the people who were selling other things as well. Once you go to get illegal drugs, it's a question of what drugs you're going to get. It's no longer a question of if you're going to get it. With the legalization of marijuana, the hope is that channel will be closed off, that we will not be creating markets for people who want to sell other drugs like fentanyl-laced heroin or cocaine or crystal meth and the other drugs that have done so much damage in society. So I'm hoping, Paul, that the answer to your question is the exact opposite of what I think the question portends, and that is that the amount of people using marijuana as a gateway drug has probably gone down, not up. But
let's hope it's true, because with what's coming across the border and all, and what's happening about using fentanyl even in regular drugs is just so frightening. And I think that we need much more of an active government going in, investigating and finding out, and then if necessary change some of these laws.
You know what we do have strong evidence of as a gateway drug? Doctor-prescribed opioids.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor-prescribed opioids have been responsible for the addiction and the death of now over 100,000 Americans this year. Opioid deaths have become one of the leading causes of death in this country. And many of those folks who had an opioid addiction or had an opioid overdose were introduced to the drug because they got it prescribed, probably in some instances when they didn't need it.
And then when the prescription ran out, they went to the lesser costly drug of heroin to supplement it. I know that firsthand from a family member, so you're right.
And they went to the less expensive, more readily available, without a prescription heroin. They also bought a drug that was poisoned with a compound that was equally as deadly and more deadly.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a serious problem because we have so many people that are just, they're frustrated. They're suffering in many different ways. The mental health profession is not caught up with the necessary tools and the necessary kinds of programs and training to help those people. And each one has unique value as a human being. And as we're children of God, we're all our sisters and brothers of everyone else. And so that we need to do all that is possible for us to just help those that are suffering.
Well, it's a circumstance that we can get our arms around. We are seeing in our own community the diminishment of outpatient and inpatient mental health services and addiction services. But let's be so grateful. And if I don't do this because I'm a public official, I generally, maybe twice in my career have I gone to a public hearing and expressed my view as a citizen. But if I was in a habit of doing that, I would surely be at the Ulster County Legislature this year to thank them and the county executive for restoring money for opioid addiction and abuse, because we have to deal with it. We can't just ignore it. It's a tragedy beyond words. When you talk to a mom who has lost her son, or in one case of a friend of mine, 2 of her sons, to mental illness and drug abuse, and you recognize, I talked to another friend whose entire life has been turned around. She should be enjoying her retirement, but her entire life has been turned around because the services that her son used to receive in the community are no longer available. I would be at that public hearing for the Ulster County budget to say, you did good thing. In fact, do a little more. Let's get a little more out there, because I'm not one for throwing money at a problem, but we have bankrupted the addiction and mental health services in our community, both at the state and local level. And I'm hoping that we're at the dawn of a new day where we're going to get our arms around it, and that next year we will not cross that 100,000 threshold. Let's try to bring it down to nothing, and I think it's entirely possible.
And we need to make it to the public. I had a nephew that we discovered him literally on death's door. It was by the grace of God that we discovered him, got him into the hospitals, got him into some excellent treatment plan, and as he worked his way through it, and it was a horrible situation, but finally, God bless him, and God bless, because he got through it. He went out, now he produces programs, he has a documentary now, and he goes around the country talking about drug abuse. And he's clean, he's been clean for, I think, 15 years now.
Congratulations
so
to him.
It's possible, but it's he was lucky to have us find him at the time and to have the support that he had from such a tremendous amount of people and the prayers given. So at least we can offer prayers for all those who are suffering, so that hopefully their angels will come and intervene with them and get them, safe again.
Let me just pile on, Paul, with that last statement about people who have been addicted and have now gone into recovery. People don't call themselves former alcoholics. They call themselves recovering alcoholics, recognizing that the addiction remains. And I would just urge those with people near to them to remember that they're walking a tightrope, that they're trying as hard as they can and doing all they can, and give them all the encouragement they need to stay on that path and keep themselves safe, and to remind them that they're loved and that their family would be devastated if anything happened to them.
Absolutely.
I think that people who wind up addicted don't do it purposefully. They don't do it because they're selfish. They do it because it's a disease. But once that happens, then they are susceptible to that for the rest of their lives. So especially over these holidays when a lot of people are out there, having cocktails and partying it up, and kids are coming home and meeting their friends. Maybe to our kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids, if it wouldn't be a bad thing to remind our children and our grandchildren that some of the kids that they saw last year might have gone through recovery, and just getting together with them on these holiday weekends and saying, hey, let's go party, could be a death sentence.
Yeah. And so, it's just, all of us have the responsibility for that, and for, trying to make sure that there are good therapists that can intervene and there are enough available. And so that's, we got to do. And the power of prayer I've seen in too many instances where it has worked magnificently. So the more we have people praying, the more that there's a chance that we can save many, many, many of these young people and some of the older people.
And if I can just chirp in here a little bit, a couple comments I have, Paul. I went through some experience. You went through your nephew, my brother. He wasn't one of the lucky ones, and he had the same opportunities your nephew had many times in rehab. His started from an opioid addiction, from a back problem. Very successful local businessman, had everything, and got hooked on opioids from a back problem, which eventually led to heroin and alcoholism, and he had the best treatments. We sent him away 3 times, but that person has to want it too. And because my brother's mental state, he could never convince himself that he wanted to get better. And mental part of it's a big part of it as well. Now, on the flip side, I'm proud to say I'm a recovering alcoholic, 15 years sober. Haven't been tempted in 15 years since the day I put the last drink down. But that was my personal willpower. My brother didn't have the strength I had. And it's so every case is different, And getting back to the marijuana perspective, I've been looking into it, and I've talked to many experts in the field, and there's studies that medical marijuana can help people with opioids and heroin addiction wean off those drugs. It can, not necessarily a gateway to those drugs, but it can be a gateway off those drugs. There's studies looking into that. I also think, from personal experience, alcohol is a terrible gateway drug. I was a bartender for 15 years. I saw it went on in bars at night when people got over intoxicated and lost their inhibitions and were willing to do things they wouldn't normally want to do. You know, so it's all very controversial, no question about it. I've been blessed or cursed to see every aspect of it, you know, and there's no right answer, unfortunately. But as you say and Kevin said, I mean, this opioid crisis is not going away. All you can do is try to support the people in your community, not just your loved ones, but the people in your community the best, because you don't know what it's like to go through an addiction until you go through it yourself or have a close family member go through it.
And I'll just gild the lily on this one. You can be in recovery for a long time, and even if you have that faith in yourself, there's always the opportunity for slippage.
Oh, when I'm on the beach on vacation with my family, like down in last summer in St. Lucia, you know, I'd love to have a real strawberry daiquiri, but I get that virgin one just because. You know,
actually, it tastes just
the same.
You don't want to have that one,
right,
and then go back.
And I confidently feel that I could probably
watch your weight too, Bill.
I can watch my weight. Yes. I feel I was a social alcoholic. I wasn't, you know, there's different forms of alcoholics. I was a functioning social alcoholic is what I was. I feel I probably could go back and socially drink responsibly now if I want to, but why do I want to put myself in a situation?
Right.
It's been 15 years.
On a sort of related but separate subject, as everyone knows, we now are required to use all the digits of a phone when we call,
right,
not just the local number, but we have to add the area code. And the reason for that is that there's a new telephone service coming out similar to 911, similar to 411, similar to whatever the one is that you use to find out if there's a gas line under your house.
611.
Yeah. Then there's a new service coming out, and I don't know what the 3 digits are. It's coming out very soon for mental health and for suicide prevention and just to give people access to these things more readily. And I think that's also a good thing, too. So.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so. And I think one way of reaching a lot of people that don't turn on the radio or don't have the news is go to the religious leaders and just say, would you please, when this occurs, would you please inform, your communities as to this is something which you have to be aware of. And I think that it's another vehicle that we can use to just pass the information around.
And we're entering the holiday season. I know you've been personally generous to KCR and also to the Happy Christmas Fund. This is the time of year where we remember that we're supposed to think about others and that we're part of a community. So even if you're not one of those people, even if you're one of the very few lucky ones that have never had a personal exposure to any of these things that we're talking about, we owe it as to everyone else in our community to make sure those resources are available to everyone. And once again, kudos to the county legislature and the county executive, Pat Ryan, for stepping up where our hospital system fell apart and where some executive agencies in the state of New York have walked away. And rest assured that when we return to Albany and we're looking at the 2022 budget, I will be doing all I can to make sure that we bring the resources we need to our communities to address what is really a blight, what is really a plague. 100,000 people. It's the first time in our history.
I always say addiction's not prejudice. Addiction can affect anybody of any social level, race. It doesn't matter. It can affect anybody.
And never give up. Never give up on the person. Just,
Nope.
You may not be able to do it directly, but you can help support them as they're trying various ways of just healing. And but thanks for all that you're doing, and you guys have a great Thanksgiving.
And I haven't forgotten your questions. We'll get the answers to you in 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll be waiting for it. Thanks a lot. You keep up
Take
the
care.
good work.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, and you do likewise, and have an awesome Thanksgiving.
Lawrence, how is the Happy Christmas Fund doing?
It is progressing quite well. I think yesterday we counted it up. $55,000 between 55 and 56,000 collected. So almost 72 pledged. So we still have some money to collect. But as I was telling Greg this morning, most of it starts rolling in December. Yeah. They have until Christmas Eve to send it in. But next week we're going to start buying the gift cards to send out to the children. So if you've made a pledge and haven't sent it in yet, please send it in to P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402.
Lawrence, is it too much to ask that maybe you think about one of your occasional hosts getting a Tesla 3 or a Tesla S out of that fund?
Now, you just went through the thing with the government.
Oh, yeah, really.
I don't think so.
I ask my kids every year to get me
My
a...
car's 16 years old, Kevin, and it needs a lot of love.
Look out the window.
Yeah. Actually, I've been talking with Bob, since Bob was such a big help this year, and Greg and Tony and all the hosts, actually. But Greg and Bob, we actually were going over it during the summer, sitting down every month and, thinking of different ways how to make, this the best year ever, which it turned out to be. I'm actually now in the market looking for a newer or a used car because my car's got quite a bit of miles on it, and he's actually found me something because, the new cars he'll get 4 or 5 new cars in or 8 or 10 in, and they're gone just like that because he's having a hard time keeping them on the lot, let alone getting them because, they're not getting delivered. They're having shipping issues, so.
The average length of time that cars were staying on the lot typically was about 25 days.
Right.
And then now the average is something in the 14, 12-day range.
Well, with Bob, it's like you better get up there within a couple days because he'll get cars in on a Monday or Tuesday, and they're gone on a Friday. But he's got customers that have been waiting for car. You know what I mean? Like he's got a list of like 40.
Is this your way of saying no? I can't have a Tesla from the Happy Christmas?
No, that's my way of saying it. Yeah. I've been trying to do it in the nicest possible
so plain
way.
and simple.
Yeah, it's a
N-O.
It's a hard no.
The capital N.
All kidding aside, why don't you just tell us what some of the money goes for? I know gift cards.
Okay, well, it all goes to first and foremost, what our bylaws are written for is for children and seniors. But since we only got a minute and a half left here. School nurses and social workers compile a list of, first of all, the ages of the children have to be from 5 years old to 15. They have to be in school. If you can't have a 6-month-old kid and get a gift card, children has to be in school. And then we don't, as much as I would want to agree or listen, someone can't call up and say, I didn't want to put my family on the list. It has to go through a vetting process. Mm-hmm. And then my mother gets those lists. She gives those lists to me. I type them out. So, right this year, with the list, and I was telling Greg this morning, the list isn't as big this year as we thought it was going to be. Usually with the amount of money they collected, we reached out to even more. Every single school in Ulster County, Warsaw, Phoenicia, any school in Ulster County. We didn't get as many kids' names as we thought we did. So that in turn means extra money will be going out. Like last year, we gave some money to Office of the Aging. They'll be getting some more money this year for their Meals on Wheels program.
I would just suggest, and I know you only have 30 seconds left, but I would suggest that as society starts to normalize again after COVID, those communication chains will reopen. So maybe you're going to see a bump next year.
What I can promise that once all the children and all the families get taken care of, because they're first and foremost, the money that does get divvied out, it's going to stay local.
Yep.
So Ulster County Office of the Aging would be next. People's Place.
In 8 seconds, tell people how they can contribute to the fund.
They can write a check out to the WGHQ Happy Christmas Fund, mail it to P.O. Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402, or they can go on Venmo.
And with that, we are out of time. Thank you, Kevin Cahill. Thank you, Bill Murphy. Thank you, Lawrence. Most importantly, thank you, listeners. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back here, same time, same place, next Wednesday.